Hello, let's do the New York Times Medium Sudoku for May 15th, 2024. There's a link in the description if you'd like to try the puzzle yourself in the same Sudoku pad software I do. And I'm going to get started right now. All right, before we get started though, I do want to go over some terminology here just so we're on the same page. Each of these is a cell. We call that a cell. There's 81 of them in the grid. It's a 9x9 grid of cells. And at the end of the puzzle, each cell will have exactly one digit in it from 1 to 9. So we have to fill every single cell with a digit from 1 to 9. Now, a horizontal line of cells is called a row, and a vertical line of cells is called a column. And these bold outlined 3x3 boxes of cells are called boxes. And in every row, every column, and every box, we have to place the digits 1 to 9 exactly once each. There are 9 cells, so each digit from 1 to 9 will appear exactly once. So we're not going to be able to repeat the digits, and we're not going to be able to omit any digits from any cells. Like we won't be able to omit a digit from a row, column, or box. In addition to that, we are going to be focusing a lot on bands and stacks. A band is just a convenient name for a row of 3 boxes, and a stack is a convenient name for a column of 3 boxes, just so we have a name for that structure. All right, so let's think about bands for a second. What do we know about bands? Well, it's made up of 3 rows, and it's also made up of 3 boxes, and either way, that would tell you that we're going to have 3 of each digit from 1 to 9 in each band. And there are 3 bands, so the math adds up. So what we want to do first is we want to be looking for when we have 2 out of the 3 digits placed in a band. So I don't have any examples in this top band, but let me just find an example here. We have 2 2s in this band down here, right? So let's actually use this right now. So there are 2 2s in this band. We need a third 2. Where is that third 2 going to appear? Well, it's highly restricted in where it can appear because it needs to be in the row that these 2 2s aren't in, and it needs to be in the box that the 2 2s aren't in. But we can't repeat that way, right? So it has to be the intersection of those, not the union. It has to be just one of these 3 cells, ignoring the digits that are placed in there. If we have a 2 here and a 2 here, or a 2 in general somewhere in here, and a 2 in general somewhere in here, the last 2 is going to be in one of these 3 cells. We can prove that in another way, which is that this box needs a 2, because every box has a 2. And this 2 says don't repeat in this row, and this 2 says don't repeat in this row. And so the only 3 cells left in the box that can be 2 are these 3, so one of them must be 2. Now, this cell is 7 and this cell is 4. Those are distinctly not 2. So we can this is called a hidden single. We can place the 2 there. Hidden means that we're dealing with a row, column, or box. So we're looking at a row, column, or box as a whole. In this case, we're looking at this box as a whole. And then single means there's only a single cell that can have a digit in it. So that digit being the 2. So if you want the full phrase, it would be a hidden single in box 4. Because we count boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is box 4. So it's hidden in the box. It's a hidden single in box 4. Hidden single 2 in box 4 is telling us that it's a 2 that we placed. So if you want to know all that terminology, if someone says, hey, there's a hidden single in box 4, or there's a hidden single 2 in box 4, now you know what that means and how you logically approach that. All right, so let's actually return back up to this band. That was a good example. Let's return up to this band. So what are we going to look for in bands? Well, we're going to look first for repeated digits like we did with those 2s. Now, you don't want to miss any. So I recommend comparing each box against each other box. So we're going to compare box 1 against box 2, box 1 against box 3, and box 2 against box 3. And that's all the comparisons we need. So there are 3 comparisons in total. My recommendation is start with a box that has the fewest givens, say this 7, 8 here. You only have to remember that small list of givens, the 7 and the 8. And then you just look in this box for 7, 8. You look in this box for 7, 8. This can be done extremely quickly, right? Once you get used to scanning for that. We see, okay, there's no 7, 8s. And then the last thing you have to do is compare these last 2 against each other. That doesn't involve this box. Just pick the one with the fewer givens again, 2 and 5. You look for 2 and 5 over here. There's nothing. So that's how we know there are no repeated digits up here. Before we move on, there are 2 things to look for, both of which don't appear in this band either, which is a filled box row. So this is a filled box row, right? We know every digit in the row of this box. So this is close, but we don't know this digit, right? So we don't have any filled box rows. And then finally, we want to look for any row or box that has been reduced to 4 or fewer cells. There aren't any. Like this is reduced to 6. That's one of the better ones. Anyway, so let's move on. Then we move on to the next band. We repeat the same thing. So let's start with this 2, 4, 6 here. We already did the 2. 4 and 6. So we do have this 4 here. They look in. And so now 4 has been reduced to one of these 2 cells. Now we can't just guess. Like you're not going to say, well, maybe it's this one. Let's place it and find out. No, we're not going to do that. There's only one solution to the Sudoku. And so we've just given ourselves a 50% chance to fail. And every single time you do that, you're decreasing your chances of success. We only want to make moves that are 100% logical and 100% proven need to be true. If we're going to place a digit, it must be true. Provably true that that digit is the only digit that should go in that cell. Just like this 2, this was the only digit that could go in this cell because the box needed a 2. And it was the only cell that could have a 2. So that is logically sound. There's no guesswork involved. But if we're not going to guess, what's the use of narrowing down the 4 to one of these 2 cells? Well, what we can do is we can use our notation. And Sudoku Pad is very nice in that it provides 2 kinds of notation, corner marks and center marks. You can see one goes in the corner, one goes in the center. They're very aptly named. We're going to use corner marks to denote that it's a box-centric marking. It's the list of cells in the box that can be that digit. And it's the full list of cells. So every cell that can be 4 in the box, we have corner marked with a 4. Now, we're not going to go through and corner mark every single digit in every box. That's both boring and not helpful. Just clutter is, in general, not super helpful. You want to only mark things that are going to be helpful, the most helpful. And then if after all that, you didn't find enough to solve the puzzle, then you go to the next step down of what's maybe a little less helpful. But these 4s, if we're ever down to 3 or fewer places in a box, we will mark it. For two places, so basically 2 or 3 places in the box. For 2 places in the box, we're always going to mark it. For 3 places in a box, we're only going to mark it if they're all in a line. If they're all in the same row, or all in the same row, or all in the same column. You don't want to kind of go around corners because we are going to use corner marks for things like pointing and claiming, and you don't want to mistake that because you didn't scan the box right. Anyway, that's a lot of stuff that you don't know yet, or maybe if you're returning to my videos and watching these explanations again, maybe that'll make some sense. But either way, we have marked these 4s, and that's generally what we're going to be doing with these repeats. We also have this 6 here, but there is no buddy 6. So now we just have to compare 1, 5, and 9, which are the ones we didn't look at yet. And there is a 5, so we do have these buddy 5s, and this 5 looks down, so we can corner mark 5s in one of these 2. All right, so that is all of the repeated digits. What's the next thing to look for? A filled box row. So this box row is filled. So what we want to do is we want to look at the 2 rows it's not in and in the 2 boxes it's not in. So these 12 cells. And you want to look, you're ignoring anything you don't know about, but you're ignoring any digits that are already in the box. So 2's in the box, 5's in the box, 4's in the box. But we do have this 6. So look at what this 6 does to the box, right? This 6 says these can't be 6. And then this filled box row is filled with non-6s. So actually there are only 2 places in this box that can be 6. So we can corner mark that. Now when we do that, this is a special case of corner marking that's actually going to cause useful pointing. And what I mean by useful is it does cause eliminations. We're going to eliminate possibilities that we didn't realize were possible until now. So pointing is saying, hey, in this box, we have reduced 6 to one of these 2 cells. We don't know which cell will be 6, but one of them will be guaranteed. The 6 will be here, or the 6 will be here. Those are our 2 options. There's not a third option of not placing a 6. So, or placing a 6 elsewhere. So because 6 will be in one of these 2 cells, both of those cells share a row. They're both in row 6 here. And that means that the rest of row 6 cannot have a 6 because the 6 is over here. If the 6 is over here, it's not going to be over here. That's the important bit. We thought these could be 6, but they actually can't be. And so it doesn't, think about it this way. If we were finding a buddy for this 6, it doesn't matter which of these ends up 6, it's still going to be a buddy that has the same effect of placing the 6 in this box. We have a hidden single 6 in box 6. In row 4, right there. Okay. So we placed that 6, very nice. And that was the only one, but we did fill this box row now. So we want to look at these cells. And so we don't care about these. We don't care about the 2, the 6. The 4 we already have corner marked, so we don't need to worry about that. Don't care about the 5, but the 8 does help. So the 8 looks in. It puts an 8 in one of these two. That 8 does point in like this. This 8 looks in and puts an 8 up here. All right. So that is all the filled box rows. You can see how they're useful. Now we're going to look for rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. We want to start with ones that are the fewest. So this row is down to 3 open cells. That is the fewest. We also have these boxes down to 4. So we're going to be looking at those. We want to start with this. So this is going to make a triple. It's the 3 digits that the row still needs. It's the 3, 5, and 8. So we can fill that out. This one's not 5. This one's not 3. And now that we have this 3, 5, 8 filled out with center marks, we don't need the corner marks anymore. They just kind of get in the way. But what does this mean? Well, this is a 3, 5, 8 triple. Give me a moment. Now, first, let me explain what I did with these center marks. I haven't gone over center marks yet. What a center mark means when we use them is they're cell-centric marking. And so what this is saying is this cell will end up a 3 or an 8. We don't know which, but it's going to be one of those two. It's an exhaustive list of candidates. So we call those candidates, right? They're candidates for what might be in the cell. And it's an exhaustive list. That's the important bit. We don't ever center mark non-exhaustive lists. So this cell will only ever be 3 or 8. This cell will only ever be 5 or 8. This will only ever be 3, 5, or 8. Now, here's a question I want to ask. Can we repeat any digits in these 3 cells? The answer is no. They share a row, they share a box. We're not going to be repeating any digits. Okay, next question. How many digits then do we need in order to fill all 3 cells? Again, these are hopefully very easy questions to answer. We need 3 digits in order to fill 3 cells. Okay, which 3 digits are going to go in those cells? Well, now that's a question that's a little bit harder to answer. But if we look, we could build up a list of every digit that's possible among the 3 cells. So let's just do some scraps somewhere. I don't know, let's how about up here, right? So I see that this can be 3, 5, or 8. So 3, 5, and 8. If we're just building up a whole list, again, this is just scratch. We're not worried about this specific cell. Now this cell can be 5 or 8, but I already have those listed. And this cell can be 3 or 8, but I already have those listed. So the entire list of all digits that could go in any of these 3 cells, we're not worried about all 3 of them, right? But any of these 3 cells is just 3, 5, 8. And we need 3 distinct digits to put in those 3 cells. So these 3 cells will have 3, 5, and 8 in them. You can see that that there are only 3 digits that can go in there, 3, 5, and 8. So those are the 3 digits that do go in there. So now what we want to do is think about which cells don't care what the order is, right? We don't know what order it's going to be. It could be like 3, 8, 5 like this, or it could be 5, 8, 3 like that, or it could be like 8, 5, 3 like that. We don't know how this is going to resolve. But what we do know is they're going to end up with the 3, 5, and 8. And these cells do not care how those resolve. No matter what, there's going to be a 3, 5, and 8 up here. So there's not going to be a 3, 5, and 8 down here. So the result of that is these are just the 3 digits that are missing from the box, other than 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 8. So those digits are going to be, and we're going to center mark them. They're going to be the 1. We have accounted for the 2. The 3 is in here somewhere. The 4, the 5 is in here somewhere. The 6, we do need a 7. The 8's up here somewhere, and we need a 9. So these end up as a 1, 7, 9 triple. Now this cell can't be 1 because of the 1 in the column. Now this 1, 7, 9 triple technically affects the box, but we already know that. It doesn't affect the row or any of these rows or columns because there isn't a cell in the row or column that sees all 3 digits. It needs to be able to see all 3. So basically they need to all 3 share a row, column, or box in order to affect that row, column, or box. And so it does not. So this triple is only helpful for the box. But anyway, it's still helpful to have them center marked. Now, I would highly recommend, only center marking cells that are down to 3 or fewer candidates. And you might even want to try to be frugal about that. In my demonstration, if I see a cell that's 3 or fewer, I will mark it. But you may also notice that can cause quite a bit of clutter, even just with that. But if you want to be able to spot triples, you are going to need to be able to have 3 in a center marked in a cell. You're not going to be looking for quadruples in these puzzles, so you don't need to worry about that. If it gets down to it, you can mark it up, but generally you won't need to find quadruples. Okay, so that was these three. You can see how useful that was. Normally that would have been extremely fast, but I explained everything very carefully. So this box is down to 4 open cells. So what are the 4 digits it needs? It needs the 1, 3, 6, and 9. And notice how I started just by thinking about it. I'm keeping 1, 3, 6, 9 in my head, and I'm scanning here and I'm scanning here for 1s, 3s, 6s, and 9s. And notice we have this 1, 3 up here. This is going to let us shortcut some things. So check out this logic here. We need a 1 and a 3 somewhere in this box. The box needs both a 1 and a 3. We don't know where they are yet. Well, I can tell you where they aren't. They aren't in these cells. I can also tell you that neither the 1 nor the 3 repeats in this column, because we have the 1 and 3 up here. So where do the 1 and 3 go in this box? And the answer is somewhere in these 2 cells. And I would argue they have to use both cells. We can't fit a 1 and a 3 in a single cell. We need 2 cells for that. This is going to feel a little bit similar to the triple we did, but it's also a little bit different, right? We haven't center marked these cells. If we were to center mark these cells, they would not be only 1, 3. But we are going to center mark them as only 1, 3. Why? Because if we don't make them 1 or 3, there will not be enough room for 1 or 3. So, as a very apt example here, what if this cell were 6? Well, I can put a 1 here, or I could put a 3 here, but I'm certainly not putting both 1 and 3 here. And I'm not putting, so in this case, if this is a 3, I'm not putting 1 anywhere in the box. If this is a 1, I'm not putting a 3 anywhere in the box. I need both of these cells to be only 1, 3. Therefore, this is not a 6. Well, if it's not a 6, why do I have a 6 corner mark there? We can eliminate it. And in fact, we've eliminated any digit that we thought could go there other than 1 and 3. And this is called a hidden pair. Remember, hidden was related to a row, column, or box, in this case, a box. And pair, meaning that there are only 2 cells in the box that can have 2 digits. So the hidden pair is telling us that 1 and 3 in this box are reduced to 2 cells. So therefore, those 2 cells are only 1, 3, and therefore anything else we thought could go in those cells is eliminated. Notice how the naked triple, naked meaning that we're looking at the center marks, we're looking at the individual candidate lists of cells. A naked triple eliminated from the rest of the row, column, or box that it's in, whereas a hidden pair or triple, hidden in general, eliminates from the cells that you're placing that pair or triple in. Or single even. And so now that this can't be 6, there is only one place in this box that can be 6. So that's the 6. And now this cell is known, right? We know where the 1, 3 are. They're going to resolve in some way here. And so the 1 digit we're missing is the 9. And so this has to be the 9. And that does remove 9 from this cell here. So we can clean up that center mark. So we placed a 9 and a 6. We want to follow up on those. Look at 9s in the band. So we can actually corner mark 9s here if we want to. You can see in the box the only cells that are center marked with 9 is these 2, so those do agree. And we have every cell center marked. We also got the 6, but we have all 3 6s. So not much to follow up with there. We do have this 1, 3 pair. We'll use that when we vertically scan. Actually, you know what? We might as well use it now, because sometimes it's difficult. For something like pairs or pointing, I do recommend looking to see if you have any very low-hanging fruit from it, because you might miss it later in a scan, because it is harder to see the pairs than it is to see the big digits. So just as a habit, looking to see if there's an immediate use. So think about this as, we know there's a 1 and a 3 somewhere in here. So for the buddy system vertically, we don't care exactly where those end up. So we do have all 3 3s accounted for, but the 1, there's a 1 here and 1 here. Therefore, there's a 1 down here somewhere. It's not here because that's a 3, and this one says not here. So we have a hidden single 1 in this box. And we'll scan that band in a moment, so we don't need to worry about following up further yet. If it was in a band we'd already scanned, we would have followed up immediately, but we don't need to right now. Okay, so we got that 1, 3. So now, are there any other rows, columns, or boxes? First of all, did we fill any box rows? We did not. Any more rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer? Now this row is down to 4 or fewer because we placed this 9. So these are the 1, 3, 7, and 8. We know neither of these is a 1. So we're safe to do 3, 7, 8 here, and this one's not a 7. By safe, I mean it's going to be down to 3 digits. Sorry, quite thirsty. All right. And these aren't 8. We know the 8 is up here. Hold on, where did the 4? Yeah, these aren't 4. That was the important bit. And so for the box, we need 3, 4, 7, 8, but these two can't be 8. And so these are down to 3, 4, 7. So we can fill that. This one's still not 7. All right. Okay, so I think that's all we get out of that band, but you can see we got quite a bit, especially compared to this top one where we got nothing and still have nothing. But we're going to move on to the next band here. We're going to just repeat all the steps we just did. So we're going to start with this 1, 3, and 7. We do have 2 1s here. Those look in. They put a 1 somewhere up here. We have 2 3s as well. Those look in, putting a 3 over here somewhere. And then we have the 7s. They look into this box, and that puts a 7 somewhere up here. Now we look at we already did 1 and 3, so we look at the 6. There is no 6 over here, so that's all the buddies. That's all of our repeated digits. Next thing we look for is filled box rows. We do not have any. And then any rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer, also no. So we are done with our band scanning. We got most of the stuff was just from this middle band, but we got quite a bit. And now we're going to scan stacks, and we're going to do the exact same thing. If you imagine rotating the puzzle 90 degrees, then our bands become our stacks, our rows become our columns. So really, we're just going to do the same exact thing on our stacks as if we'd rotated the puzzle. So anytime I was saying rows, just think column instead, right? So we're going to start with this 1, 3, 7. We already took care of the 1 and 3 for the stack earlier, but we do have a buddy for the 7. So let's look up here. This 7 also looks in. This is when we kind of peek out of the band or stack, right, to look for that. So there's a 7 in one of those too. But you'll notice in general, we have hyper-focused on the bands and stacks. That's what this first pass is all about. You can learn to do this pretty quickly and just get through all the bands and stacks and get the really low-hanging fruit first. And then there is a second pass and a third pass that you can do afterward if it didn't finish the puzzle. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And so, yeah, we got the 2 7s. And so now we have this 1, 3, and 4. We already took care of the 1 and 3, but the 4 does have a buddy. So 4 is down there. So that's it for buddies. These are filled box columns, but we already have all the information we need about this box. Remember, the filled box columns are just going to help you do corner marks in the box that the filled box column's in, or box row, and we already have all the information about this box. We don't need to worry about those. There aren't any other ones. Any columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer? Yes, this column's down to 4. So let's think about it. So we need a 2, 4, 5, and 8. So we're looking all around here for 2, 4s, 5s, and 8s, right? First thing I'm seeing is we have this 5 here and this 4 here, saying this can't be 4 or 5. And so that means the 4 and 5 are down here somewhere. And in fact, the 5 can't even be this top row. So 5's down here. Now that is actually safe to corner mark. Remember I had said earlier that corner marks were box centric. They are not row or column centric. I would not recommend using corner marks in rows or columns. That's just going to confuse you. We don't really have an effective marking to use, so we don't. If you really need to remember it in more advanced puzzles, there are kind of ways you can get around that, but it requires remembering mostly. And so, but it is actually safe because we have something called claiming. So I'm going to corner mark the 5s here to demonstrate. This column needs a 5, right? Hopefully that's obvious at this point. These obviously aren't 5. We don't know where the 5 is yet, but we know it's not in this cell, and we know it's not in this cell. So we've reduced 5 in this column to 2 cells. Those 2 cells happen to share a box. They happen to both be in box 7 here. So therefore, wherever the 5 ends up, it will be the 5 for this box. As a consequence, the rest of the box can't be 5. Most importantly, this cell's not 5. But in general, we can't put a 5 in the rest of the box. It's called claiming because the column has claimed the 5 from the box. It's very similar to pointing if you think about it. It's kind of almost the other way around. So because the 5 is down here, so it is safe to corner mark, and the corner marks will help remind us that 5 isn't here. Well, if 5 isn't here, and it's not here because of this 5, and it's not here because of this 5, where's the 5 in this column now? And the answer is this column needs a 5, and it can only be here. So that's a hidden single 5 in column 2. Remember, hidden can mean row, column, or box. So we can place that 5. Now, as soon as we place that 5, something to think about is, what have I already scanned? Well, I've already scanned this band, and this 5 is new information. So had this 5 been here from the start, we would have already scanned it, but it wasn't. We just placed it. So we want to go back and scan that 5. We want to redo the things we'd already looked for. So, for example, the buddies, right? The first thing we look for is buddies in the band. And so now we do have a buddy 5. And then these 2 5s look in. And so we can actually place the 5 in this box now. Very nice. And so that is another placement in the band. We haven't done this stack yet, so we don't have to worry about it. Now, did we fill up any box rows? We did not. Did we cause any rows or boxes to be 4 or fewer? We did not. Now, one thing I do want you to try to think about is if you do end up with this situation where you have 4 givens in a box, such that really, if you end up in this situation where there's only one empty row or only one empty column, it's always worth looking at the effect. So for example, we have this 7 here looking in, and it does cause the 7 to be one of these two, which we already have marked. But what you want to do is you want to look at the row and column in the boxes that aren't it. Again, we can ignore anything that's empty. We can ignore anything that we already know about in the box. The 5 and 7 we already know about. The 4 we know about, the 5 we know about, the 3 we know about, the 1 we know about. But we don't know about the 8 yet. So if we look, this 8 removes it from this entire column, which means that it has to be in only one of these two cells. So we can actually corner mark that 8. And that 8 is going to point. Whenever you get a marking like that, that's the most interesting. If it was caused by buddies, it's usually not all that interesting. It's mostly bookkeeping so that later we can find hidden singles. But if you find it this way, it's actually really, really nice because it causes pointing. So the 8s point into this box, right? The 8's going to be in one of these two, so it can't be here. This 8 points in, and so 8 ends up down here as well. So we get some extra corner marks out of that. It can be make or break the puzzle, right? Sometimes puzzles are entirely dependent on discovering stuff like that. Those are the most important steps to see. All right, so we were scanning this column, and we saw that it was down to 2, 4, 5, 8. We saw this couldn't be 4 or 5, so this is actually down to 2, 8. We can mark that. We know this is down to 2, 4, 8. This one can't be 2, so this is 4, 5, 8. And this can be any of 2, 4, 5, 8, so we're not going to mark it. So it's important to remember what you were doing when you get back to it. I did place this 5. We have that. Did I place this 2? I don't think so. Not recently. I mean, I did place it, just not recently. This column is down to 3 digits. And you might say, well, I thought it was down to 5 digits. But we know where the 1 and 3 are in relation to the column. The column doesn't care which one ends up 1 or 3. It knows that the 1 and 3 are there. So these 3 cells are whatever the 3 digits that remain are. And they are the 6, 8, and 9. So we're looking for 6s, 8s, or 9s. We can actually just pencil it because it is 3. And then we can just remove the 6 from here because there's a 6 in the row. So now something I've just noticed is when this 6 looks in, right? We also have this 6 looking in. Because we have so much center marked, it became very clear that this 6 that I looked at that removed 6 from here also removed 6 from these 3 cells. And I noticed these weren't marked with 6 either. I saw it was because of this 6. So actually, we have found a hidden 6 in this box. So be on the lookout for stuff like that when you highly pencil marked a box. And so that 6 does remove 6 from there. Okay. We also have buddy 6s now, so 6 ends up here somewhere. In general, this column is now reduced to 4 digits. We know the 6 and 7 are up here, so it's going to be helpful. But what are all the digits we need? We need 2, 6, 7, 9. And we know this is not 6 or 7, so this is down to 2, 9 only. This can't be 2, so this is 6, 7, 9. This can't be 7, so this is 2, 6, 9. Okay, and I think this can be any of 2, 6, 7, 9, so we're not going to mark it. All right, so this stack is pretty well done. Well done stack. So let's move on to the next stack here. We have the 2 and the 5, so the 2 has a buddy. We can place the 2. That does displace a 7 corner mark, but there are still 2 left, so we can't place a 7 yet. That does eliminate 2 from here. And whenever we do that, we want to think about 2s in the box and in the column. In this case, in the box, the 2 has been reduced to these 2 cells. We can corner mark that. Whoopsie. Yeah, undo. Okay. 2 in one of those 2. In this column, there are still 2 places, but we don't have a good way to mark that, so we don't. So we placed that 2. That's how that affected the band. Did it fill a box row? It did not. Did it cause a row or a box to be 4 or fewer? It did not. All right, so the 5 didn't have a buddy. And then we've got the 2, 4, and 6. We took care of the 2 already. 4 and 6, we do have a 6 buddy. So 6 ends up here somewhere. All right, so that's all the buddies. We do have this filled box column, though. So actually, this 5 does look down here. This 5 looks in. So 5's in one of these 2. Those point, so we can remove the 5 from this cell, because this I can't actually be 5. Otherwise, we won't be able to put 5 in the box. So this is not 5. And now you can see that there's only one place for 5 in this triple, which is here. So we can place the 5. Placing that 5 doesn't affect the band, really. So that was the 5. We have the 5 up here already. Anything else looking into that? Okay, nope. So do we have any columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer? Yeah, this column is. So we need the 1, 7, 8, 9. So this can't be 1, so this is 7, 8, 9. This can't be 7, so this is 1, 8, 9. And this can't be 8, so this is 1, 7, 9. Not super helpful, but it does. Oh, we do have the 8s cornered down here. Remember that? These 8s pointed in. So actually, we should not pencil 8 here. This is only 1, 9. Important to be scanning your box for corner marks and just in general scanning around for corner marks to make sure when you center mark that you don't accidentally center mark too much. And so now if you think about this column, where does the 8 go? And the answer is because we had found these pointing 8s. Remember this 8 looked in? Because we found that, remember I said it's usually and very important for the puzzle? Well, it caused this not to be 8. And so now the only place for 8 in this column is here, and we can place it, hidden single 8 in the column. That removed that corner mark 8. Let's see. What's the effect of the rest of this? That does reduce this row to 4 or fewer. So let's think about the row. I'm rescanning this band, right? The only thing I can see that it did is it affected this row. So 3, 6, 7, 9 is what's left. This can't be 6 or 7. So this is 3, 9 only. This can't be 7 in general. And so this is 3, 6, 7. Oh, sorry, 3, 6, 9. I think this can be any of 3, 6, 7, 9. So we're not going to mark it. You can see how we're already getting pretty cluttered. If we had marked all of these, we'd be super cluttered and it would be really hard to scan. So we're trying our best to keep things as sparse as possible while still being able to spot triples and pairs and stuff. Okay, so that was this column. That was helpful. Notice that you might be noticing by now why we look at columns and rows and boxes like that. This box is down to 5. These columns are down to at least 4. Yeah, this one's down to 5. Right, I think we're done with that stack. So let's do the final stack over here. We've got the 2, 7, and 5. So the 2 as a buddy, they look up. So 2 is in one of these two. The 5s are done. The 7s, we didn't mark it, but 7s are in one of these two. We can mark that now. All right, we've also got the 8 other than the 2, 7, 5, but I don't think we can do anything with 8s. Okay, any filled box columns? Yes, this one. But we already know about this box. This box, we don't have anything else helpful to notice. We got the 7s marked already, for example. And then columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer, this column. So we need the 1, 3, 4, and 9. So we know that we need a 1 in this column. And we have these 1s cornered up here, right? Telling us that the rest of these aren't 1. So if these aren't 1, and this isn't 1, then there's only one place for 1 in the column. So we can place it, hidden single 1 for the column. And the rest of the column is going to be 3, 4, 9. And this one can't be 3, both because of the corner marks and because of the 3 in the row. Okay, so that's handy. And also, if we look at this column, think about how this is only 3, 9, and the rest of them share a box. So the other digit, the 4, is limited to these two. And that's going to claim the box. So it's going to say none of these are 4, which is something we didn't really know. So I'm thinking about how that affects things. It affects this column, right? This column is a 4, but I guess it could be here as well. Okay, I'm not seeing an immediate use of it, but it might be useful later. Okay, something I am seeing now is that because we placed this one, this row is down to 4 digits, and also this can't be 4 anymore, so I'm very, and it can't be 7, so I'd really want to center mark this one. But what do we need for the row? We need a 2, no, we don't need a 2. We need 4, 7, 8, 9. And this can't be 4, 7, or 9. There we go. So the 4, remember the 4 is claiming the box, so this can't be 4. It also can't be 7 or 9. So the only digit it can be is 8. And that's huge, right? There's two things we can do in here. We're going to be resolving the whole box. There's two ways we can resolve it. First is we could resolve it via the corner marks. I just want to kind of demonstrate how both of these markings are useful. So by the corner marks, this can't be 8 anymore. We can remove that corner mark 8, and that places the 8 in the box, because now there's only one corner marked 8. That means we have a hidden single 8 in the box. So we place that. That displaced a 7 corner mark. There's now only one place for 7, so we get a hidden single 7. Now we get a hidden single 4, and now this just finishes the box with a 3. So we can resolve it in that direction. We can also resolve it in the completely opposite direction, which is to say the center marks, this can no longer be 8. And so this is a naked single 3. You can see that the list of candidates that this cell can be is only 3. So it must be 3, so we can just place the 3. When we do so, that makes this a naked single 4, which makes this a naked single 7, and this is a naked single 8. It resolves in the same way, but you can see it resolves kind of in the opposite order. Whichever one makes most sense to you, or whichever one you feel like at the moment, you can do. And that finishes this whole row, because this is now a 1 and a 7. Or if you prefer, this is a hidden single 7 in the row and a hidden single 1 in the row. And so that resolves as a 3. And following the red markings around can be very helpful if you have them on. If not, you do want to be scanning around for the things you got and make sure that you're cleaning up the general areas. But this is 9 and 1. That's 9 and 7. That gives us this 8. I think we've cracked the puzzle. This is 2. That's a 6. So this is down to 7, 9. That can't be 7. So this is 9 and 7. This 2 is placed for the box. The 7's placed for the box. These all resolve. The 4, 9, 2. It looks like this is down to 5, 8. I'm just going to clear everything and put 5, 8 in. This can't be 9 anymore. All right. So that when you're done placing that many digits, my recommendation is go on the hunt for rows, columns, boxes that are extremely restricted. Like this one only has 1 digit left, right? So just place it. So this needs a 9, so we can place the 9. So yeah, focus on that. If that doesn't finish the puzzle, then go back and like think about what digits you placed and whether you can find like hidden singles maybe. But the puzzle's almost done. This column has only 2 left, right? So we want to kind of focus on those first. We need a 1 and a 6, it looks like. This 6 tells us the order. This is 1 and 6. That places this 6 here. We're left with a 3, 9 pair. So this is going to be whatever digit we're missing, which is the 4. Okay, that finishes this row with a 3, it looks like. That gives us the 8 and the 3. This box needs a 1, and we see this 1 tells us where it goes. And we need something. We need a 4, looks like. This column is done. We need a 8. That gives us the 5 and the 8. That places the 5 in the box, and the final digit in this box is a 4. That gives us the 9, the 4, and the 3. Gives us the 9 and the 3. Last digit's a 6, and we're done. All right. Hopefully these have been helpful. I know I'm basically explaining from root principles for the sake of people who may be new, who are trying to learn Sudoku and want to learn about those things, but also as a reinforcement. Because I'm sure the first time I explain it, it doesn't quite sink in, but maybe the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th dozen time, maybe that will sink in and start to be internalized. So utilize these techniques in your solve and you will have a very fun time, and you will hopefully not make mistakes, right? It's a technique that's designed to be fun. It's logical. It reduces how many mistakes you make. It reduces the clutter in the grid. So it reduces a lot of the rote work that a lot of people do in Sudoku that isn't interesting or fun. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this. It does seem like the 8s in here were very key to find. So if you got stuck, maybe it was these pointing 8s in this box. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.